Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know, my name is Rachel and I'm a high school math teacher in Georgia. And this is part 2 of a video series I'm doing on how to flip a classroom. So today what I'm gonna do is walk you through lesson planning. How do I figure out what I'm doing, organizing all my stuff to integrate a flipped classroom lesson. So if you are joining and this is your first video, I would go and check out my first video on how to design the flipped classroom or set up all the things you need to do before lesson planning and kind of getting into the nitty gritty. So that video will be linked below. So make sure you go check that one out and then come back to this one. So anyway, I'm going to take you through how I lesson plan. So what we're going to do is start off with the broad sense. I'm going to show you guys how I break down a unit, really more of I just break it down test by test. So I'm going to go through that and show you how I kind of plan my days and then how do I go into detail about those days to make the flipped classroom work. So this is what I use as a template. So I just use a Happy Planner, but I really actually don't have anything in here from Happy Planner. This is, let's see, I use the grade book, but that's about it. This is what I use to plan my day-to-day. This is just something that I bought off of Etsy. It's $1.50, just a daily planner. I just like having the lines because it keeps me from writing like super big and kind of keeps me a little bit organized on what I'm doing for the day. So what I do is I block off in highlighter the things I'm going to assign for homework because that's kind of a big deal, the notes that I assign for homework. So this is in class and then homework. So I will show you guys a blank one and how I kind of will map out for my next unit. Okay, so this is just a blank template of what I've been working with. So today is actually the 19th for me, but I'm going to kind of backtrack a little bit. So I finished my last unit on the 18th. So in planning for my next unit, this would be my first day. And a lot of times people struggle with the concept of flipped classroom about how am I going to assign notes for homework and then practice the next day. So I kind of work backwards by just planning what I want to do for each day. So I'm going to go into a radicals unit, which means the very first day we need to work on simplifying. So I will just title my days what I want to work on and go backwards and figure out what days I'm assigning homework. So 19, I'm going to simplify, and simplifying is super important in radicals, so I'm going to spend 2 days on simplifying. Monday, I'm going to do adding and subtracting radicals, and we will need 2 days to practice that as well. Then we will probably quiz, so I'm going to put a quiz on this day. Then we will need to learn how to multiply radicals, so I'm going to spend 2 days on multiplying. And then we will need to learn how to apply radicals, basically word problems. So I'll spend a day on application and then probably review, and I'm running out of days, but then I would test on this Thursday. So just like you would normally plan, I'm not thinking into the homework quite yet. I'm just blocking off how many days I want to spend just like I would in a non-flipped classroom. But this is where I'm going to backtrack. So I know the days that I want to work. So if on the 19th I want to do simplifying, that means I need to do simplifying video notes the night before. So I'm going to backtrack, right? So the day of the test, they get a new notes packet and I'm going to have them do a video on simplifying. We're going to simplify. I don't need to give any homework this night because we're going to spend 2 days on it. So this night they won't have homework, but then Monday, they're going to add and subtract, right? So if that's the first day of adding and subtracting, I'm not doing notes in class. They need to have notes prepared the day before, from the day before. So that would put me on Friday. So this is where I need to do adding and subtracting video notes. Adding and subtracting, so they'll do video notes over the weekend, come to class prepared, and we'll do 2 days of practice. Now we're quizzing, so if we're quizzing, we don't need video notes either. So if you look all the way to the quiz, they've only had 2 nights of homework. And that's kind of the beauty of the flipped classroom, less homework at home, and we're spending more time practicing. So 2 nights of homework, right? After the quiz, we need to start multiplying. So if I want to do multiplying on Thursday, they need to come to class prepared with video notes. So multiplying polynomials, video notes. Now, I usually break this into 2 days because what you have to remember is that multiplying or harder concepts, you can only limit yourself to a small section of video notes. So I max will give 20 minutes of video notes. So I might need to do this in parts. So they'll have part 1, where they learn basics of multiplying. And then the next night, I'll give a part 2 of harder problems. So I would give basic problems the first day, practice all the basic problems, get it down really well, do an extension video of harder problems that are multiplying, practice in class. Then, if we are gonna be doing application on Monday, that's a new topic, we need to have video nights the night before. So application, video, notes. And then we will apply and then review, test. So I don't need any video notes for these nights. So if you look, most we have is 3 nights of videos in a row. So out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 days on a topic, they have 5 days of homework. And that opens up all these days to do practice problems in class. So here's what I will typically do. Simplifying video notes. So in class, the next day needs to be a very, very strong practice day. So we might just do a practice page in class. And if they don't finish that in class, then they would apply for homework. So this is where they'll kind of sit with a partner by themselves and really just practice with pen and paper, nothing really fancy, just get it down really well. And we'll spend this whole day practicing and perfecting so that the next day we can do a really fun activity. So this is where I would end up doing a die game with my class. So we do a simplifying activity with die. And then that gives us, instead of just a day of notes, a day of practice, we get a full day of practice and then a full day of engagement. Same thing with adding and subtracting. So this day we might do just a practice page in class after a recap where they really hone in on the idea. And then on this day, I might do an around the room activity that I have. So full day of practice, full day of engagement. Then we'll quiz, and then same thing here, we'll have a practice day. And then I might do a multiplying escape room the next day. I might have to do a little bit of recap on this day because they had a second day of notes that was a little bit harder, but because it's just an extension of something they've already mastered, it shouldn't take that much time, and then I'll leave a lot of room for the escape room. Application for this, that's applying, adding, and subtracting, so they should have it down pretty well. So the day we have an application, the one day, I might actually be able to do an activity. So I actually have a garden activity where they find area and perimeter of different parts of a garden. So that might be what they do that day. Review day, we might just do an actual work page. And then I might play grudge ball with them. And then we will test. So what this does, this design of that flipped classroom, allows you to really have 2 full days of practice in class instead of, like, normally I would spend 2 days on simplifying. This would be filled with notes and barely practice that they would finish for homework. Half my kids wouldn't even do homework. We come to class, half the kids don't know how to do it. So this game isn't as effective as it should be, and not as fun for some kids because they don't know what they're doing. So notes at home, hone it in, get to play a game. So that is my daily kind of breakdown. So now I'm gonna show you my weekly plan and how I kind of figure out what I'm gonna do to keep kids engaged and a lot of like the extensions that I'll do. So I showed this before in my last video, but this is what I use to plan my week. So I break it into sections to kind of have a routine so our kids know exactly what will happen. We do an opening, a small recap, a huge activity in the middle of class. Any extension I plan for early finishers, I do a closing at the end, and then this is for where I assign homework. So I'm gonna take you through how I would kind of fill this out for the week. So going off the notes that I just wrote, I am starting on Thursday, Friday. So I'll kind of show you that. So Thursday, I actually have a kind of standard routine. We do Mindset Monday, this or that Tuesday, what went wrong Wednesday. Thursday is Throwback Thursday. And so I will put a couple problems on the board that are just throwback to previous problems we've done or a review of current stuff we've been doing. So Throwback Thursday, this allows me to go around the room and check who did their video notes. So the night before, so Wednesday night was test day, so I could write that here. They should have had video notes. So what I do while they're doing their opening is I go around and check off who did the video notes. And then what I'll do is a small recap. So the kids were given video notes and not all the notes were completely filled in. So I'll show you guys how I did that. I usually just give them a packet for their notes. And these are what I did in the notes video. So I didn't go over a full page of notes. I went over prime factorization, broke down some problems, and then had them try a couple on their own and see how they did. And then what I'll do the next day during this recap section, I'll spend 10 minutes and I'll go ahead and plan out. I wanna do problems 7 and 8 and 9. And then 25 or 10, that's a perfect square one. So I definitely wanna hit 10. And then I'm gonna have the kids try 11 and 12. So I'm not even gonna go through all of these problems. These are notes that I had previously for a normal setup classroom. So I may not need all of them, but I'm not gonna adjust or remake notes just because of a flipped classroom. I'm gonna use what I have. So they did the video notes, it stopped here. I'm gonna recap, have them try some on their own, and that's it. So that shouldn't take me too long. 10 minutes would be more than enough time because the kids already have a general understanding. I'm not starting from scratch. I'm kind of recapping with these problems. And then the activity the kids are gonna do, even though it's gonna be a practice page, like I said, I'm gonna still make it some sort of engaging activity. So what I have for my kids, I'll grab that and show you. We're gonna do a maze. So I still get something that's kind of fun off Teachers Pay Teachers, and I will usually make my own work page for them to show all their work. So the kids will do the maze and I may start them off on it and we all do the square root of 320 together, and then they go through the maze. Because they needed to have a lot of practice of simplifying the back, I made a second activity, which is the coloring one. Again, off Teachers Pay Teachers. I did not make all of these. I usually just get stuff off of there. So the kids would solve, find the answer. So because this is such a huge topic, so I would do maybe 1 is the maze, and then 2 is color by number. This isn't something where I would have like a lot of extension for. So the extension would just be the color by number, and then finish for homework. All of them need to finish. This is something that is so important with starting radicals that they have to do it for homework. They've got to get all the practice problems done. But let's say they didn't have something that was this integral, like they could just get away with doing a couple practice problems. If I had them doing the maze for an extension problem, I might have them do like create a textbook or do a little quiz game online or something that was a little engaging that's not necessary, just to kind of help maybe like fill the time in a more meaningful way. And then their closing might be an essential question. So this could kind of be whatever you need it. Now, Friday, we said we would do a die game. So Friday is what we've been doing. So I'll probably throw up some more radicals. So I'll throw up a simplifying problem. Recap, I don't need to do a recap. We're doing the same thing we hit yesterday. So I'm gonna cross that out. And what my kids are gonna do this day is play a die game. So I'm gonna have them in pairs doing a die game. The extension, what I would maybe do for this one is have kids start video notes. So I know that my kids are gonna have to do video notes that night. So I may not even apply an extension. I might just let the kids get ahead. So start video notes so they have less homework to do over the weekend. We'll do a closing. Homework is video notes. So same concept. I still have the same layout for myself to fill in and kind of plan out what am I going to do with early finishers. If I don't have video notes, then I might actually have an activity. So same thing on Monday. They would do adding and subtracting. So I do a mindset Monday with my kids. So we'll do that. Now, not every day I do the exact same stuff. So I might change it up by having some like classroom, like housekeeping things we do, but every day for my opening pages is kind of planned out. I only have like this filled here or as a blank just in case I need to do some housekeeping stuff that day. Recap, I haven't made the video notes for this yet, but I might do problems. I'll just go ahead and figure out what problems I want to do and write that down. So maybe I'll do 10, 12, 13, right? The lesson or activity is going to be a practice page. And it's a pretty lengthy practice page. So what I might do is pick 10 out of the 20, right? So there might be 20 problems, so I might pick 10. Give them some choice. If they feel confident, pick some harder problems. If they're feeling kind of not so great, stick with the first 10 that are easier. The extension, I know that I'm gonna do an around the room the next day, so I might have kids get started on around the room. So again, the extension doesn't always have to be more work. It could be the stuff that's taking them into the next day, so that way kids have less homework accumulating. So get started on the around the room, closing, whatever you want it to be, homework, finish, practice page. So if any kid didn't finish the 10 problems, like they were really struggling and needed a lot of remediation, it's still, I have the ability for them to do homework. Some kids may not have it. It just kind of depends on where they are. Tuesday is a this or that Tuesday. And they're gonna do no recap because it's my second day. And then this is gonna be the around the room. Wednesday is a quiz day. So the extension would be start quiz review. I'll give them a couple problems that basically mirrors their quiz. So that quiz review will be their homework, and then finish review. On Wednesday, we will not have an opening. We will just go straight into a recap. So I will go over review, and then I might throw up like a couple extra practice problems. So I might do 2 new problems before the quiz. We'll quiz, no extension. Usually I just have games the kids can play in my room. I let them take it out into the hall and they can play games when they're done. Probably no closing, right? And then homework would be video notes. And so on. So that's basically it. It's very similar to what lesson planning is to begin with. A flipped classroom doesn't have to be harder. The biggest thing is just block out your days like you normally would. Just plan an overview and then have a routine template that you work from. So I'm actually gonna put this for free if you want this on Teachers Pay Teachers. I'll keep it as a PowerPoint, like an editable one if you want to change kind of maybe what you do in your class. But I like having the same stuff, and then some days I may not use it, right? Because if I don't need to recap, then I'll just go on to something else. But it's there to remind me like, hey, if this is a new topic, let's plan out my recap questions. Let's plan this. Let's plan an extension if I need it, and then write down the homework. So it's just a way for me to kind of hold myself accountable as a teacher to have that plan. Because it's very easy to all of a sudden not have an extension or forget to plan something. Let's say you forgot to make the activity ready for the next day and your kids finish early, and then you have these early finishers who are just sitting there doing nothing for the last 15 minutes. Like, you're wasting time in class. And so my classroom is just kind of like this fluid movement. Like, if they finish early, let's get started on the next day. If they finish early, get started on your video notes that you might have that night. And it kind of just flows together. And then if I don't have something that's planned the next day, like an activity wise, I may have a quiz or like some sort of like little like thought-provoking engagement activity. So that is how I lesson plan. I hope you could find it helpful. Like I said, it's not really anything new. You're not reinventing the wheel with a flipped classroom. You're just having to think, block out my days, and then video notes the night before. And it's just kind of shifting your classroom. But like I said, if you just, write out the days that you want, like this, and then work backwards to figure out what you're doing for video notes. So I hope that helps. Like I said, if you didn't watch the previous video, that one's a really great one to talk about how to get your classroom set up. This is the nitty gritty of like the lesson planning. And then the next video that I'm gonna make is going to be on the different activities. Like, what is an around the room? What is an escape room? How do I plan those and like make those resources if you're interested in kind of how those resources work? It might be a longer video just about like the different types of activities I do for my classroom. So make sure you subscribe if you're interested in seeing more videos like this and more videos about flipped classroom, because I will be posting those pretty consistently. So just make sure you subscribe so you guys can see whenever a new video is up. Thank you guys so much for watching.